Hello, guys. So, we are live in English, and I'm going to talk about a very polemic theme, a very polemic issue. First of all, I'm going to send this to everyone, and I hope you can send it to your friends because I think today I'm going to give you loads of important information. If you're thinking about getting a piercing or not you, but if you have a baby girl coming, or if you actually already have a baby girl and you want to pierce her ears, okay? So be careful with what you want, okay? So please send it to all your friends, especially those who think about this, because it's going to be very useful information, okay? I'm just sending this, and hopefully we'll have a lot of people watching our live today about this. So I think this issue is it's a cultural thing in Egypt. It's not only in Egypt. Many places have this culture. Baby girls must have their ears pierced. Otherwise, I don't know, they're not baby girls. Is that it? Olá! Olá a todos! So, this is something you must understand. It's not a piercing on the ear that shows you have a baby girl, okay? It's a very controversial subject, but I hope that somehow what I will tell you will be able to clarify some doubts and be able to help those who are uncertain about whether or not to pierce the ears of their babies. Okay, someone is asking something. Can a belly piercing? What about belly piercings and pregnancy? Does pregnancy ruin the piercing? Well, actually, if you are pregnant, you have to remove your jewelry unless you use a flexible one. I had clients that got pregnant and they had their metal jewelry, and I changed the bar with a flexible PTFE or Teflon bar. It's flexible, and I gave them different sizes so they could change it as the belly was growing, and no worries. But if you have a metal one, yes, you have to remove it. If you don't have a flexible one that you can put on, if your piercing is old enough, it's not going to close. If it's not, it will probably close up. Okay? So, hi, good morning. I decided to talk about the piercings and babies because someone asked me last week. And last week I spoke about headaches, migraines and death. That myth. It's a myth. Watch that live. And someone asked me about piercings and babies. As I was saying, this is very cultural in Egypt. Not only in Egypt, but it's something you must understand. There is some things you must understand. First of all, it's my opinion, and I had a baby girl. She's 1 year old now, and I decided not to pierce her ears. My mom didn't pierce my ears, and I decided to pierce them when I wanted, when I was about 12, 13 years old, something like that. So I think that I thank my mom for doing that, because I decided if I wanted or not. I decided how many I wanted, and it was my body, my decision. But look, guys, what I'm going to tell you, it's not against what you think. I'm going to warn you about the things that could go wrong if you pierce your baby's ears, okay? And it's not the jewelry on the lobe that will tell people that you have a baby girl, okay? It's something that she has down there, okay? So the most frequent complications are allergy by the contact with it's like a dermatitis contact, okay? So that's the one of the most frequent or common complications. Then inflammation. Well, inflammation is part of the healing process, but if it happens with like severe inflammation, it may swallow the jewelry, okay? Bleeding is it's also normal, but severe bleeding, it's also a very common complication. Infection. This is the most problematic one. Infection is very common in this kind of work. The use of the piercing guns. And cysts, okay? They can form after or during, okay? Oh, let me just... okay. And the most common one is the earlobes that are not symmetric, okay? The holes are not symmetric, and transmission of hepatitis or other virus, okay? Because when the equipment is not sterilized, and guys, a piercing gun cannot be sterilized because it's made of plastic. I shared a video last week about that. So the equipment used to do a lobe piercing on babies, it's a piercing gun. And if it's a plastic one, it cannot go into the autoclave. The autoclave is the only machine that it can sterilize, kill all the virus and bacteria, all the living forms on that material. So that gun used in different people without being sterilized can be a very, very high transmitter of hepatitis or other diseases. So it's very, very dangerous. So imagine you have a little baby, one day old, a week old, a month old, whatever, didn't get any vaccines yet, okay, or only got one shot. So the immune system is still developing, and you're so afraid of her touching things or people touching her or whatever and getting contaminated, and you are using or allowing someone to use a piercing gun that was used in other people, other babies, and you don't know what kind of diseases other people have, okay? So you have to be very careful, very, very careful, okay? Let me just check. Aline, estamos a falar de piercings e bebés. Okay, so keep in mind the location you choose to do the piercing, okay? If you decide to do the piercing anyways, be careful with the place you choose. I know that in Egypt, it's very common that people use the hearing on the first day, the baby's still in the hospital and blah, 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 and they just force the entry of the jewelry. Guys, it's not that the baby doesn't remember. Okay, the baby doesn't remember, yes, but it's traumatic anyway, okay? And it's the thing, the complications, the infections, the spread of diseases, hepatitis and everything, okay? And if you compare a hole made with a needle and a hole made with a gun, you can see, especially if you have piercings done with guns, look behind your ear. You will not see a perfect round hole. You will see like a torn hole. Okay, that's what the jewelry causes. Okay, so because the skin is torn that way, it takes longer to heal. Okay, and imagine a normal person, an adult, the healing process can take around, on the lobe, around 4 months or longer. And our immune system is already developed enough. A little baby, the immune system is not that developed, okay? So it will take longer and it will take a long time. And then there are other things that people tell you to do, like to turn the jewelry, move the jewelry around, and that's completely wrong. It's outdated like almost a decade ago. Please don't do it, okay? So let me keep on. If you choose a place, keep these things in mind when you choose this place. The professional must have experience piercing babies, okay? All equipment and other material must be sterilized, must be sterile. One use only and thrown into the garbage, okay? And all hygiene and disinfection procedures, such as hands disinfection, the use of gloves, all this must be taken, okay? You have to be careful. Some people say, "Oh, the pain, the baby doesn't feel the pain." It's not true, okay? It's not true. A lot of pediatricians already said, a lot of studies said that the pain the baby feels is the same at any age, okay? Believing that sooner is better, it's not it's not true, okay? So it's a myth. The only difference is that the baby doesn't have the emotional component of the pain, so he doesn't know what's happening, okay? But he feels the same pain as we do in adults. The greatest risk of the piercing on a baby so early is that it can develop irritations and infections, and it's very, very common, especially the kind of earrings they use. Most of them, it's not hypoallergic, okay? They mention is anti-allergic, but anti-allergic doesn't work, guys. It needs to be hypoallergic, it needs to be biocompatible, it needs to be well accepted by the body. And most earrings are not made of biocompatible metals. Early in life, the baby is still adapting to the outside world, and the foreigner body in the baby's body, like a earring or another kind of a strange body, like other kinds, it will create a huge. It's very harsh on the body, on the baby's body, and the immune system. So, in addition to the pain and being able to leave the ear very sensitive and irritated, the perforation can cause a very severe infection. If it's done by a gun, even worse. Okay, so the use of the gun is completely outdated. several countries already forbid the use of a piercing gun. So in Egypt, a lot of people still use, even to pierce adults. Guys, be very careful. Like I mentioned before, a piercing gun cannot be sterilized, and if it's used in several people, can spread diseases. Okay, cross contamination. I'm always talking about cross contamination. It means go from one person, one place to another, and go on and so on. It's what happens now with the coronavirus and any virus, any kind of virus. Okay, any procedure with the piercing gun involves contact with blood, and when we get contact with blood, the blood has all the virus and all the bacteria from our body, and we have to be very careful. So any body fluid can also have a very huge amount of virus and bacteria. So it needs to be sterilized, not only the gun. So the pharmacy, the so-called pharmacy earrings can be sterile, yes, but they are in a standard size. Okay, the earrings are sterile, but the gun is not. Okay, so both things must be sterile. Okay, so this size is a standard one, and guys, people have different thickness on the lobe, and different people and different body areas, they have different reactions. Some parts can swell more than others. Some lobes can swell more than others. So that standard size, it's not appropriate. It needs to be measured. The thickness of the lobe needs to be measured, and the jewelry must be long enough to accommodate the natural swelling that is going to happen. Okay, it's natural to swell. It's completely natural. Inflammation is completely normal on the healing process. Infection is not. So when that piece of earring goes inside the skin, it's the earring itself that goes inside the skin. When the needle is used, the needle creates the hole for the earring to go through. People imagine that the gun, since it's faster than the needle, hurts less and it's less traumatic. But it's the opposite. The needle, besides being slowly, it doesn't hurt that much. The lobe, especially, it's one of the less painful places, and it creates the hole for the jewelry, so the jewelry doesn't hurt. Okay, so be careful when you go to a place and people just clean the gun with alcohol or other products. That's not sterilizing, guys. The alcohol disinfects only, but it only disinfects it if you rub for at least 1 minute, and like strong rub, and you have to do it 3 times. So you apply alcohol, you rub it for 1 minute, okay, and then you apply alcohol again and you rub it for 1 minute and you apply it. So this is the way you disinfect, not sterilize. The sterilization only happens inside an autoclave that goes in a high temperature, more than 135 degrees, that kills all the living virus and bacteria. And a piercing gun, because it's made of plastic, if it goes into the autoclave, it's damaged. Okay, so the design of the earring, it has like that butterfly back. It's not good enough for the healing. Why? Because that butterfly shape, that butterfly shape. Let me try. I'm going to try. I was trying to, because I think you're hearing my notifications. But okay. So that butterfly shape accumulates a lot of dirt on the back of the earring. So during the healing process, it's pretty normal that some discharge is released. It's part of the healing process. And that discharge in contact with the air dries and forms like some kind of crusts. Those crusts, if it's a flat back, like a normal stud, a normal labret, it's very easy to clean. But that butterfly shape, it accumulates a lot of crusts, and they have a lot of bacteria. Okay, the longer they stay there, the longer the bacteria stay there, the easier to get an infection. So that's another thing. Besides the size, the shape, it's not the appropriate one. Okay. The material, I already told you about the material, must be biocompatible. Okay. Many are not. Titanium and niobium are the most biocompatible metals because they are free of nickel. Nickel is a kind of metal that it's most people in the world, like almost every people in the world, is allergic to nickel. Everyone reacts. Some people react more than others, and that nickel is one metal that is inside the metals alloys, and they are also the nickel is also part of a gold earring. Only the 24, the pure gold, the 24K gold, is free of nickel. Okay, but even though that kind of earrings, the 24K gold is very soft, and with contact with the body fluids can it's not melt, but it can oxidate, kind of. And of course, it's very expensive and it's very hard to find. Okay, so the most normal one is the 14K, and that contains nickel. Okay, it's considered the metal that causes more allergies, and most earrings also have copper. Copper is very toxic to the body. Remember that every piercing is an open wound with a strange object inside. If that strange object is safe for the body will keep it and heal around it. If that strange body is a threat to the body will try to expel it or swell it. Okay, if it's if it swells so much that touches the earring, it can swell the jewelry. And if it's not done on the proper place, if it's too shallow or something, it can actually expel. One last thing to take care is the healing, which is usually not well done. The instructions people give you are not the best ones. Like I mentioned before, turning and moving the jewelry it's not good, and it can create more trauma and delay the healing process. Okay, and also can push in some bacteria and impurities into the wound again. Okay, even though if you decide to do it after all this, it's your choice. Okay, make sure you wait until the first cycle of the tetanus vaccine is done. It's around 18 months. Okay, around that. You know that the tetanus vaccine is the one that prevents us from getting infections from metals. So at least wait that long, okay? And do it in a professional studio with experience with children, Okay, I don't know if you have any question. I hope I clarified some doubts you had, even though, like I said, if you decide to do it, it's your choice. But guys, how about waiting for your baby girl to decide and do the piercing when she wants it? Okay, it's better. I'm going to show you a little video. I'm going to show you a little video that shows how it's to compare a piercing needle going inside and two different earrings, what they do on someone's skin. Okay, so let me just show you this. This is on Instagram. And look. So that black rubber has the same tension of the skin, and look how easy the piercing needle goes through and how hard the other earrings go through. Okay, so this is what happens when you do it with a piercing gun. So guys, I hope I helped you. Any questions you have, please just send a message. I can easily answer. Bye bye and see you next week. And don't forget to send this video, this live, to all your friends that are thinking about getting their baby's lobes pierced.